Hey everyone, welcome back to another Conversations on Vitality. James Gardner, Ariel Jarvis, as always. Ariel, all right, in your new clinic today.
Yes.
Exciting. We got a great conversation today, gang. We are going to talk about acromantia, gut biome, microbiome, bacteria of the gut, because the gut really is the gateway to optimizing health in everything, almost every condition. Truly gut is the gateway. So Ariel, let's break open this conversation. Microbiome, we hear gut biome. It's a fairly newer conversation over the years and the importance of it. So let's start there.
Absolutely. So first of all, in order to support something, you need to understand it. When we are first born, it is very important to come into this world through the vaginal canal, because that is where a lot of the microbiome starts. Then what happens is, by consuming breast milk, that is establishing a healthy microbiome. From ages 0 to 5 is when our microbiome and our diversity starts to get established. So we'll talk about that age very shortly. Now, the microbiome is a ecosystem in your small and large intestine and appendix. This ecosystem thrives on plants, fiber, fermentation, and we need to make sure it's constantly having proper transit. Things are moving. They're not just staying for too long. And so factors like stress, toxins, environmental toxins, certain processed foods, sugar, constipation, certain different variables can affect the microbiome. And so think of it like a fish tank. If you have a bunch of beautiful fish, good clean water, and then all of a sudden you just stop taking care of it, right? You get busy, life goes on, you start to build up algae, and the fish start to get sick. Okay? So whenever it comes to your microbiome, any symptom you get, any symptom, skin, your skin is your biggest detoxing organ, which is a direct correlation with the gut. All 11 body systems, I won't go through them. You can watch one of our other videos. Every single body interacts with your gut. You have 100 trillion gut bacteria that are being established between ages 0 and 5. However, by the time we age 20 to 30, we have a fraction left because of the standard American diet and Western diet, which is high in processed foods and processed sugar and alcohol. Now, just to throw things into a bit of a twist, antibiotics. Antibiotics being used in the ages 0 to 5, this is why it's so significant, that is when your microbiome is being established. Every medical, so not even natural, but medical physician understands the hygiene hypothesis. They are taught this in med school. And so they understand that if you use antibiotics between ages 0 and 5, it is detrimental to the microbiome for that individual forever. You can destroy someone's microbiome if you put a child on antibiotics from ages 0 to 5.
And so the microbiome is the natural bacteria that resides in our gut, and you said appendix as well, which I've never heard before. That was interesting. And it obviously its health or its unhealthiness is hinged to diet and nutrition. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And is that because we talked before about genetic predisposition versus habitual response patterns of diet and things in generations before. Is that also the same in terms of the diet and the nutrition of our mother and father, let's say, or mother in this case, would greatly impact the bacteria of a newborn, of an infant?
Absolutely. So what people don't realize, and this is all medical, is epigenetics, gene expression genes can be turned on and off based on their environment. Okay. So based on how the mother eats, her emotions, her cortisol, her stress, what she consumes, what her environment is like, when that baby's being formed, those cells are interacting with that environment, and it will actually turn certain genes on or off. The microbiome is a direct correlation of the mother's microbiome. It's almost exact. And so that's why if you have multiple siblings, you might all end up having a different body composition. Maybe one is tall and slender. Maybe one is short and larger. It has a huge correlation with the microbiome. There has been so many studies using mice. One in particular was studying obesity. It's called fecal transplant. They took the healthy material from a healthy, slender human, and they used siblings. Okay. So they took a brother and sister, humans. They took material from the intestinal tract using a colonoscopy, and they put that healthy material from the slender sibling into the mouse, and from one sibling who was obese, the other sibling, remember they're twins, into the other mouse. Now, then they did it on the same thing, and they switched it. They noticed from phase 1, the one mouse that accepted the slender mic transplant, the mouse was slender. The one that accepted the transplant from the larger individual, that mouse became obese. So then they swapped it. They said, well, maybe this is just a hypothesis. Let's test it. They swapped the fecal material, and they put the larger one in the other one, and the other one in the small person in the larger one. And the obese mouse lost weight, and the smaller mouse became obese. And so they realized there's something to this. And so they did this on over 1,000 mice and had the exact same result. So your environment triggers your microbiome. So we took this a step further. In 2004, the medical system tested the microbiome, and they found a gut bacteria that is good for us called acromycin. This bacteria produces a vitamin called B3. The actual bacteria produces this B3 vitamin. And because your gut and your brain are connected through the vagus nerve, that B3 went up to the brain and actually regrew the myelin sheath. They did this extraction, and they used this on mice, and they tested mice with schizophrenia and ALS, and every mouse was cured using our medical system in 2004. This was incredible. So then they started to learn about fecal transplants for mental and emotional and schizophrenia, and they were using this on mice. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because what people don't realize is that through society, through our processed sugars and our processed foods and our diet, that is what kills our microbiome. So you are either feeding your microbiome or starving your microbiome. In order to feed it, you need prebiotics to feed the probiotics to help with the fermentation. And unfortunately, what people don't know about, and we're going to share the solution. Now, remember, today we're not talking about any supplementation. We are only talking about food. I want to prove it with food. So try this at home. 6 servings a day of fermentation. 6 servings a day of fiber, and 8 glasses of water or more. I'll leave it with that. And keeping your processed sugar low. Okay, so write that down. Now, the reason why is because now you're going to have a healthy gut. And there has been science and research proven that if you have a cast iron gut, a really good gut, then you can handle alcohol in moderation. Your treats or your the foods that you don't normally have, you can handle those in moderation. Your dopamine levels are within moderation. Your oxytocin. What people don't realize is if your microbiome is off, your dopamine, your oxytocin, all your neurological chemical pathways are off. there's a huge correlation with food cravings, binge eating, emotional eating, obesity, anxiety, depression. And there has been tons of studies done where they've actually been able to, with one variable, just by adding in 6 servings of fermented foods a day and 6 servings of fiber a day, every single individual with these were recovering. I don't like to use the word cure, but that's the word they used. It was incredible. And so a lot of people in the movie industry, they know this. They do this, right? Pop stars, music stars, actors, they all do this. They heal their gut, right? And so a lot of people with Western and Canadian society, we're just so used to the busy schedule, lack of preparation. We don't do our food prepping. So if you're one of those people and you're like, I'm so stressed, I don't know what to implement. There's so much information all over. Start with your fermented foods and let us know how it went. It takes 3 days to establish your ecosystem to balance. After your 3rd day, reach out to us. Let us know how it went.
So 3 days, 6 servings a day of fermentation. We talked about this last week, sauerkraut, things like that. Stay away from the kombucha though. Kombucha, right? Because it's sugar. Fiber. Now, when you say fiber, are you talking like a walk in the store, grab a fiber supplement, put it in some water? Is that what you're talking? Are you talking?
Great question. We're always looking for a supplement, but what people don't realize is cruciferous vegetables. So you've got your broccoli, bok choy, you've got your yam, sweet potato, polyphenols. So you've got your berries, watermelon, you've got your fruits and vegetables.
So those fruits and vegetables for fiber, what would be a serving size? Because we have to do 6 in a day. Just to give our community an idea. What is a serving size?
I like to use either a dark leafy green because it's just way better and there's less sugar and it works on more body parts, so the liver, etc. A serving size would be 3 Brussels sprouts.
Oh.
Or 3 pieces of broccoli, like those little tiny little ones.
Yeah. So obviously, for everyone listening, it's not like we're having you pull out a platter of broccoli and go to town, right? It's a pretty manageable challenge that Ariel's throwing down here. And then you said 8 glasses of water.
Or more, yes.
Or more.
But 8
Perfect.
is the standard.
Okay, so we have 3 days of that. Ecosystem starts to recalibrate. What could they expect coming off that 3 days and then 5 days, how maybe they want to keep it going? What would be the association of a change?
You'll start to notice that your bowels will start to release better, or you'll have better migration. No more bloating, no more gas, no more digestive issues. Cravings go away. You don't crave sugar anymore. You don't overeat. Your anxiety lessens or is completely gone. Your depression lessens or completely gone. You'll start to notice that you might lose weight. You'll start to notice that you'll feel more motivated because serotonin is produced in the gut. So you might actually want to go work out. You might all of a sudden be energized and want to clean your house. You're going to have more serotonin. You might be more inclined to be intimate with your partner because your libido is going to go up because oxytocin. You might be more inclined to be creative, motivation, dopamines, all of that fun stuff. So when it comes to those neurological stimulus, most of it comes from the gut because you have more neurons in your gut than in your brain.
Love that. Love that. And for someone like myself, I'm just going to go back to the fermentation. For someone like myself who loathes sauerkraut, what would be an alternative for me?
So I'll just list the fermented options and then you decide what is best for you based on your gut, because you know your gut better than me. So our top, the fermentation foods would be pickles, pickled beets, kimchi, sauerkraut. if you do a kombucha, there is one brand, I can't remember what it's called, but it has 1 gram of sugar, and that is the byproduct of the fermentation. So that one is actually okay, but all the other brands no. So just take a look. You can get it from Save On Foods. The other one is cottage cheese, has live bacterial culture, yogurt, kefir, as long as it's plain, and different types of cheeses. If you read them, they should have bacterial cultures, but try not to go for the dairy products so much. But it is a fermentation, and apple cider vinegar. So those are my go-tos.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Well, so there's a challenge, everyone, from Ariel that you just heard. I'm going to challenge as well to say, I would love to sit down with someone who does this, message in, we'll get you on and we'll talk about it, and we'll have a little conversation, and we'd love to get to your input. We'd love to see people challenging themselves, because that's what you have to do. You have to find your own lane for health and wellness. And what I love today, Ariel, is you shared, you don't have to go buy a pill. You don't have to go buy some magic powder, some spangled dust. Just eat clean, fermentation, vegetables for fiber, right? As you talked about, and some water. That's your challenge, gang. Anybody can do that. My 11-year-old could do that for 3 days. So there you go, Ariel. Any last thoughts? Microbiome, power of the gut. Any last thoughts?
Yes. So when it comes to the 3 days, 3 days to get things back to normal, and then you want to maintain, right? So you're not going to see this magic happen in the first day, but you will see something happen after day 3. So I encourage you to do 3 days, follow up with us, but continue, right? So I've introduced sauerkraut 6 servings a day into my lifestyle. I've noticed a tremendous change. So it does work. There's tons of science around this. There's tons of medical and functional doctors that talk on this. So support your gut bugs. Love your gut bugs, because they're with you forever.
That's right. Love that. Love your gut bugs. That's a good bumper sticker. All right. Ariel, amazing. Thank you so much. This was really interesting and fascinating. The gut's a thing. It really is. Yeah. And I think it's really something that everyone can do. Everyone has the power to control what they put in their mouth for their longevity. So thank you for reminding us. And for everyone out there, check us out, of course, Vitality website, Vitality Facebook, social media. If you're not following us and you come across this some way, somehow, make sure you follow us. And we're here every week sharing some educational insight for you. And don't forget to phone in and get your free consult with Ariel, because Ariel knows. All right. Thank you, Ariel.